We opened our doors officially in 1932 as an Indian mission school. And we're actually a national mission institution of the United Methodist Women. We're the social arm of the Methodist Church. Our sister agency is McDonald United Methodist Children's Home in Houma. We had missionaries staying there educating the French children and Indian children at McDonald in an effort to come down and help the Bayou recover in response to the storm in 1927. They saw a much deeper issue in the community. They saw a whole Indian population not having a school. And so one of the missionaries purchased an old plantation home right across the bayou from here, and she turned it into a school, and she self-funded it. Her sister actually was a school teacher right outside of Baton Rouge. She asked her sister to come and give her 3 months to help her set up the school and whatnot. Well, she wound up staying 43 years, dedicated her life to the school and to the Indian children of this community. They petitioned on behalf of the community to the local school district, Terrebonne Parish School Board, to take over the responsibility in educating the school children here. It wasn't until 1950 did they finally put up some money to build a school. The school was located right across the street from here, was a segregated school. We had a triracial community back in those days in the 30s and 40s and 50s up until 64. We had a school for whites, we had a school for blacks, and then in the 50s we finally got a school for Indian children. And that's when our focus changed from a primarily educational facility to now what you see today, a full-fledged community center providing human social service needs. The programs are always responsive to the community based on what they told us they wanted to see here. We have commodities distribution monthly. We have a food bank that's open several times a week or by appointment. We also have emergency services. We're part of the Unmet Needs Committee for Terrebonne and Lafourche parishes. After a storm, we'll open up as a point of distribution with feeding, with necessary items to help people rebuild and recover, to clean. We'll help people with rebuilding. We have volunteers that come from all over the country that help people rebuilding their homes, roofing, electrical, plumbing, you name it. They'll come and they volunteer their services. They're skilled volunteers that come down and help people throughout the year. Even if the further we get from a storm, we're probably several years removed from a disaster, but we still have volunteers that come in the community to help the community recover and rebuild. United Methodist Committee on Relief, UMCOR, with the donations they received after Katrina Rita, Gustav Ike, gifted us with a building. They actually purchased and built us a dormitory for our volunteers. Still offering educational programs, and we'll have after-school program for kids. We have tutoring, we have recreation every day. When funds allow us, we have a GED program here. We have a community garden. We have education diabetes classes. We have financial literacy classes. You name it. And so it's all dependent on what the community asks of us to provide here. We actually had a summer camp this summer for our kids. We have a Bayou Eagles Native American dance group that actually is made up of youth in the community. They come in, they learn different aspects of Native American culture, dancing, crafts, and then they pass on that knowledge and they go in the schools and they teach the schools. This property here has significance to the Indian community. When all was found in the early 1900s, we had a lot of big land speculators, all speculators that were coming and buying up the land. Actually, this community wasn't even really settled. It was we had our Indian people that lived further south, where the community is no longer existence. It's just wiped off the map. Well, our Indian people will go out for months at a time, trapping and hunting and living off the land, and would come up to Dulac to actually sell their catch, their furs, and then they would resupply, then they'd go back out. There was resistance met from the white settlers that settled here and that were buying up the land. Well, the Methodists, in response to that, purchased this parcel of land as a place of refuge that allowed the Indian people to come have a place to tie their boats, to come and sell their catch, to come in to resupply. From that, just over time, as we've lost land and stuff, the Indian people started to settle up here and started to move in here. And that's why this point is predominantly settled by Indian people. And it was only fitting that the United Methodist Women, when they bought the land, they bought this land in, I think, in the 40s, 1940. They purchased this parcel of land in the 50s, 60s built the community center. I'm 34 years old, and in my short lifetime, because I'm from this community, so born and raised, I'm from a fishing family that totally relied off the land and water. I can tell you, going out as a kid and just seeing how the dynamics of the community, the land, the water, erosion, all of that, even for somebody like me being from this community, it's hard to wrap your head around. It's hard to fathom that you're literally losing land right under you. I've seen it in places where we've hunted, now we're fishing. Places down here where we've grew sugarcane, where they raise cattle, no longer can do that because there's no land there anymore. It's open water. We're losing our community. We're losing business and industry. This was once a thriving community with business and industry and people. People in Dulac didn't even have to travel up to Houma because we were self-sufficient, self-sustaining. We had several banks on the bay, big grocery stores. We have the oil industry here locally. But since then, we had community schools. Most of that has moved out. We lost a lot of business and industry because we don't have storm protection or flood protection. Hurricane season, several months away. Who's to say a storm doesn't come this year and wipe us out and more families leave, more businesses leave. From the 2000 and 2010 census, we've lost 40% of the population in Dulac alone. So it's very disheartening. Hopefully, they're telling us within the next couple of years we'll have some level of storm protection, flood protection. If we can go a couple more years or a couple more hurricane seasons without a big storm, that we'll have a level of protection that we've never had before. If we can show that we can save what we currently have, I think it would give hope to people who once lived here, and maybe people would be open to moving back in these communities. But there has to be an effort now, bigger than there have ever been before. Without us doing anything, then we might as well pack our bags and start moving out, because the rate of land loss, the rate of these communities, people moving out, there's no way that the communities would be sustainable or viable. It would certainly be certain death for these lower body communities. And Houma next, and it would just kind of domino effect all the way until they finally drew a line and say, we're going to save this, enough is enough. So when is enough enough? Hopefully that we see the benefit of these lower body communities, the Gulf Coast communities, what it does for the whole area, Louisiana, and the nation.